Hey folks, Wrath coming at you with another video. This time really wanted to do more of an announcement than anything else. Since we had that free-to-play challenge with all the content creators, I've come out with what I think is the best path forward. Certainly some of the other content creators have a little bit of a divergence, where you spend your limited and whatnot. But for the most part, I would say we've identified a fairly straightforward path that will give you an edge over a lot of other free-to-play players and even people who are going to spend in the game. So I've been working on this first month guide. Main focus, I would say, is for folks who are looking to spend less. But let me give you guys a quick update on where we are today and ultimately where we're going to go with it. So to reiterate then, what I really want to do is provide a concise way for folks to either use this guide as a sticky note for where they should progress. There is going to be a more elaborate sections underneath this that talk about almost like a day-to-day, week-to-week schedule. But I will say, for those that are curious, you could take a screenshot of this, put it on your other computer monitor, and follow it through. And one more note before we jump into it. So I will make this public so everybody can have access to it and you could rejig it. And I think it's also important to say that since EE changes the meta quite often in this game, and the start for me when I started about a year ago is different than for folks who have it now, this could very well change in the future. So let's jump right into it then. So as a brand new player or a returning player to the game, there's tons of new events and activities that are thrown your way. This week specifically will be one of where you focus on frugality and either getting up to 60 or 80 limiteds. My advice here is that you save those to about 80 and then you summon on the Leo banner exclusively. Don't put a single limited into Luke. The reason that I'm recommending Leo is because he's a fantastic champion to progress through the game. But if you summon up to 80, then you can buy a gene hybrid that you could save for week 2. So really, all the activities in the game that are geared in week 1, in my opinion, should be aimed at helping you get a Leo copy, which will tremendously improve your storyline progression, your soul mine progression, your faction wars progression, all those areas. And then once you have those additional limiteds above 80, save them. Week 2 is where things get a little bit interesting and all the saving that you've done from week 1 will add up. So if you've made it to about DSA 10 to 11, maybe 12, this is where you should blast 80 to 100 of stamina that you've been buying daily into this dungeon. It will significantly help you get legendary gear and progress you further than a lot of the other areas in the game. In tandem, this is where Daniel's and Emma's banners come into play. Do not summon anything again on Emma's banner. Focus exclusively on Daniel. Daniel is a fantastic champ. He's got tons of crowd control and he can output a significant amount of damage. So similar to week 1, if you've got about 60 to 80 saved, I recommend that you pull 80 limiteds on him, get yourself a copy of him that way. Use the gene hybrid that you got from week 1 and then obtain a second gene hybrid this way. So just with these 2 activities alone, you're going to get 3 copies of Daniel. And then as you make your way through the Elite chapter, you're going to get a 4th copy that way as well. So that's 4 copies of a triple S hero that you otherwise wouldn't have if you didn't optimize during week 1 and 2. Week 3 is where things get interesting, and I would say any additional limited that you've gotten, you should get about 60, but if you're lucky enough to get 80 between altar and some of the other activities in the game, if you have 80 to pull on Anpu, you'll be able to get 2 additional gene hybrids. The first with the fact that you've pulled 80 by itself, but the second, because it's a double chip event, you're going to be getting additional tokens that way. And you can use those to pump him into Daniel. And then further than that, Daniel's evolution event will give you another copy. So by the end of week 3, your Daniel should almost be immortal, if not immortal, if you've ended up exclusively using gene hybrids on him, which I recommend. And finally, week 4, this is where things taper off. You'll be able to get a copy of Masrani from the Astral Order event, and you can also get one if you pull 60 limiteds. If you've been lucky enough to gather 80, I would recommend that you get 80, and then you can make a conscious decision about which triple S to work on moving forward. My recommendation is that if you select a triple S unit, specifically put gene hybrids in that specific unit until they're immortal. So in this case, you've got a couple of great options, Ampu being one, Leo being a second, Masrani being a third. So definitely lots of options. But from this point forward, what you really should be thinking about is saving all of your limiteds to pull on a specific banner for yourself while doing all the other in-game activities. Anyway, I hope this gives you guys some guidance. Again, there's going to be a lot more meat added to this guide, but for those that are interested, this is the TLDR. Take a screenshot of this, post it in your other monitor, and then use it as a reference guide. Until next time, see you guys.